Welcome to VNfiniti,
the podcast where we talk
and you listen.
We're your hosts, Ashley
and Tori.
So we already know that 2020 has been canceled. Who hasn't canceled 2020?
2020 has been a hot mess right from the jump. Who even knew? From the time we lost our beloved Kobe Bryant, and then the next thing you know,
here comes COVID.
COVID-19 comes in. And then after that, 2020 went
to hell in a handbasket.
To hell in a handbasket. So here we are. Second quarter. What quarter is this?
Second quarter.
Second quarter.
Second quarter of this game we call life. And within that, we have amongst us a cancel culture. Womp womp.
Womp womp womp.
So I'm here to say, let's put a void on this canceled ass culture. I'm tired of it. I'm tired. Sick and tired of a canceled ass culture. So everything is canceled. We've canceled everything from R. Kelly to Wendy's. And now Wendy's is filing for bankruptcy.
But really though, it's not even it's like a short-lived culture. I mean, it's like a short-lived cancel. Like, we cancel for the moment, and then next thing you know, it's something that we do again. You know what I mean? We're back on that buzz, so we're back on that.
Is it truly like a canceled culture, or is it a trending culture? Like, you're canceled for as long as you're trending, and once your trend is over,
you got time to redeem yourself. Because if we were gonna cancel somebody by now, why we still got why your president still in office? I mean, frankly, he should have been canceled.
Girl, he should have been canceled with his tan. But that, I'm canceling him. I'm voiding. He's void. Null and void at this point.
So not just your president, but you have other, celebrities that have been in this space where they've been canceled, some of whom have been able to, come back and redeem themselves and that kind of thing. But some that once they're canceled, they're just canceled for life. And frankly, rightfully so, because some of those that have come back should not have been able to make their way back. And it has me side-eyeing, some of my own people trying to figure out how we allowed them to
make a comeback. I don't even think... So I can't, for the life of me, think of anybody that's actually been canceled as part of this cancel culture that has made a comeback. Ultimately, like I said, I think it's just truly a trending topic.
I just don't feel like, I do. I feel like it's short-lived. I don't feel like we, dismiss to like really dismiss and discard, because they have done some of the most
horrific things
that they shouldn't be coming back from. Especially when it comes to women and as well as our community, because your boy Kanye, he's done some questionable things that makes you wonder, if we should, still be rocking with, but yet, he come back and throw a little money out there for the culture, a couple million for the culture, as if he's not part of the culture. But that in itself should say something.
But see, I don't think Kanye has ever been canceled.
You don't think when Kanye showed up with that "Make America Great Again" hat on, he was canceled?
No, I don't. Because Kanye has how can he be canceled and he has become in the past year a billionaire? Like what about that has created? His album has sold. I don't think as a culture, or I guess it is a culture, that he was actually canceled. What I feel like is people just disregarded him or didn't take him serious anymore.
And I think that maybe that's the case, because people took his mess, right? People took these things, these little acts of whatever his distractions are, right? But they take it. Some take it lightly, and some don't. But when you really kind of get into it, like, what's going on with it? What's going on with Kanye? Let that be the question. What allows him to do some of the things that he does, or say some of the things that he says, and still, be able to
still move on
to come to the cookout?
Who said that he was coming to the cookout?
Is he coming? Is he permitted? Does he get admission? Because that whole slaves chose to be enslaved. People chose to be enslaved.
So here's my thing.
What is it?
He didn't say enslaved people chose to be slaves.
What
He
he
said
say?
slavery was a choice.
Was a choice.
And here's my thing on that. Slavery implies that we did it to ourselves. Being enslaved means that someone was over you.
And we were enslaved.
Exactly. He said slavery was a choice, not being enslaved was a choice.
Who chose? Who came over here saying I'm looking for a slavery
So here's my
position?
thing. The reason why I feel like he made that statement was because the whole people jumped off of boats. Like, you chose to live versus die.
You think that's the position he was taking?
I think that's the position that he was taking.
Him and
even up to
Ben
this,
Carson.
Even up to this day, look.
Okay. I was just wondering where we were.
No,
I feel like
I don't feel like that statement was on some Ben Carson.
You don't?
No, that's a whole nother level. But when it comes to Kanye, I really feel like that statement was more so about this day and age stage of enslavement, and slavery, because I still feel like there are points in our life as we are in 2020, a fucking canceled year, that we have like made choices in order to stay in certain positions, just as a thought process. Because there's like, even when it comes to being racist, like, people make choices to be racist because there's a lot more information out there in order for you to liberate yourself. That's what I feel like. That's a whole nother topic. Stay tuned, because the way she's looking at me right now, y'all, I'm pretty sure she got some digging deep. We're going to get back on subject. So when it comes to being canceled, before she cancels me,
we are quick to cancel candidates, right? Like we're the worst.
Yes,
for
we
our
are.
own, right?
We are.
But
for instance, like, we were talking about politics. So for instance, like the mayor of Minnesota.
Did they rip him a new asshole or what?
They did.
Oh, it was so hard to stomach. I felt so sorry for him. He did not stand a chance. Here he was trying to make reform, right? He was moving in the right direction. When he started steering it in the right direction from the get-go. He was like, this is appalling. This is sickening. Not on my watch. I'm not going to have it. And then the next thing you know, at the rally, they got Jacob up there in the front and asked Jacob if he was willing to abolish the police department.
Abolish is a strong word.
They said, are you willing to dismantle the police department, Jacob? And Jacob was like stuttering and fumbling. He was like, well, I've already worked on some things. Jacob, answer the question. Are you willing to dismantle the police department? Jacob was like, no, I don't think that's the right thing to do.
And here he is, canceled, booed off of stage, having to exit left.
Ashley, did they... Oh my God, but the way that they belittled him, like, it's a wrap for him. Like, will he be able to stand the test of time? We don't even know. Whatever ideas he had to reform the police department, we won't even know, because they shut that shit down immediately.
But with this cancel culture, how long do you think that will last? If it's not a trending topic today, do you think it will last until election day?
I don't know.
Because that's my issue.
Especially in politics, I don't think people forget.
People forget.
This is why Kamala Harris has such a hard time from when she was a district attorney, right?
Yeah.
To when she was trying to run for president. Like, they ripped her a new one. But the problem for me is we're so willing to quickly cancel our own. Like, give them a chance. Like, we've had a whole of all of history, we've had one black president. You understand what I'm saying? First of all. Second of all, do you know how hard it is to start with, to even get into like positions of power? For a period of time, they didn't even allow us in these positions. Now we're in them. In the minute that someone has a history of something, or something wasn't, right in there, and Booker, Cory Booker, because he's not married, and they don't know, like what his
sexual orientation
is. So we're willing to dismiss him. I mean, but this is you. Do you sometimes have to wonder, like, who's pushing this? Like, where this comes from? Who's pushing these narratives? Like, I feel like sometimes we're spoon-fed this shit, and we just digest it.
But I don't think it's limited to politics.
Yeah,
but we also have just celebrities. Like, we have a lot of celebrities that get canceled. Right. But even when it comes to canceling celebrities, that shit doesn't last either. I mean, we talked about Kanye.
Kevin Hart.
We talked to Kevin Hart. Yeah. Yes. Kevin Hart pretty much had to
He
give up
should
a
have been
whole
canceled.
job. And even before we got to this bad of a cancel culture, we have to look at Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle had a whole narrative. People still bring up half of his comedy skits because it wasn't relevant then, but it's relevant now in today's movements. And he's still getting canceled for stuff that he said that half of the people in the world laughed at that shit
At that time, right?
At that time,
It was appropriate.
It's appropriate.
Yeah,
Appropriate.
because we weren't nearly as fucking
Recreated.
sensitive. We weren't nearly as sensitive
And I think
then
that's the issue.
as we are now. Like, can't nobody say nothing. Just like these Karens talking about, oh my God, it should be a racial slur. No, bitch, you're a Karen. Let's just move along. Okay, let's just call it what the hell it is. Like, I don't have time for this. You want to deem something a damn racial slur because you feel slighted, but you quick to come out your mouth and call somebody a nigga, as if it doesn't have negative
implications
since the beginning of time. Like, you know what the hell nigga stands for. That shit didn't come up in 2020.
Let me ask you a question. Should that be part of a cancel culture? The word nigga?
It should have been a long time ago, but it ain't. It isn't. We've tried to. Did we not? My brother doesn't use the word anymore. I do from time to time. I just did.
Yeah.
But
there are several people that don't use it. And there are several people that get offended no matter who uses it.
Right.
Regardless of their skin color.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But what do you think? Should it be a part of a cancel culture? If you had asked me, it would have
like
been years ago. It would have been a long time ago.
To me, it has the power and the meaning behind it has been canceled. Does that give anyone?
Has it?
To me,
you don't think it's coming back?
Because here's my thing: you give power to words.
You don't think we're reviving that? You don't think they feel empowered? You don't think that is intended to?
The only reason why they feel empowered is because of the reaction they're able to gain from it.
That's power.
You give people power by reacting to something.
Okay.
So if someone says something to me, like if I,
but that's the whole point of cancel culture.
Point in case you can go back and forth and be like, bitch.
Right, and not be affected by it whatsoever, right?
But if a chick off the street,
right,
call either one of us,
right,
bitch,
yeah,
regardless of how long she draws that shit out,
right. Well, I think
we're going to be offended.
I think
because of the power that you give that word from a stranger or from somebody else that has not gained.
So then it does have power, because the NIGGA, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we might throw around amongst us is different.
Is it?
Well. We just talked about bitch.
But can someone of a different culture use that word?
Just the same as the
A or the ER?
Street.
The A or the ER?
Neither one.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So then it has power.
I think it has power because we give it power.
Sure.
And so my thing is,
because you know what they mean when they say it. I'm heated up.
Yeah, but if you're canceling the word, shouldn't the power behind it be canceled?
That's if we're canceling the word.
And we haven't.
Right. We have not. No, so that's what I'm saying. So, like, we should have.
Can we put a void stamp on
that? Yes, we should put a void stamp on that, right? Because just as we're speaking about the NIGGER and the NIGGA, of all the other communities or ethnic groups or cultures or whatever that have been, who've also experienced this type of genocide or, hatred and the abuse or whatever it is. Okay, those words that they would use to offend them, right? Mm-hmm. You don't hear it anymore, as it should be, right? So
but who's keeping that alive?
That's what I'm saying. And so that's why it should have died, right? Mm-hmm. Because as long as it's around, it is perceived to be okay, especially since we're the ones who are keeping it alive.
So we're speaking on words that should be canceled. Recently, Janelle Monáe came about and was talking about how the culture of rap music saying or degrading women should be canceled.
Absolutely.
So how,
no debate.
From a sense of knowing some of the history of hip hop and rap music, the popularity of this type of music, it never stemmed from degrading anyone in our culture or anyone in our community.
You mean that's not where it originated?
It's not where it originated from uplifting.
To educate.
Yeah.
And to inform.
Right.
And to fight the power.
Yeah.
That's where we came from. turned.
Her thought process behind that, and this has also been said by multiple rappers that are now turned activists, have mentioned how some music record labels will push this narrative within our community of the drugs, the alcohol, to
that we didn't want to hear the other stuff. They don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear that, and they don't play it. Like, you don't hear Lupe on the you don't hear Common on the radio often.
Conscious music, conscious rap.
You really don't.
Anything that's gonna, penetrate and educate.
How can we push forward with canceling this word,
and
canceling
I've thought about this for the longest time. That's why I stopped listening to local radio stations. It used to be subliminal, and now it's not even subliminal anymore. Now it's just blatant. So
moving from avoid to an avoid situation where you're avoiding having to deal with this on a day-to-day.
Especially
as
when
part of your cancel.
I can't even find, something that's appropriate to listen to on the radio while my children are in the car.
Right.
Because it's so explicit, right? And vulgar. And I understand that there's a place for that. It's okay that it exists, but it shouldn't exist on mainstream. It shouldn't exist when I'm on my way to work and on my way home from work, unless I choose that station. But for it to only be this local station, and all you get is, all of the, like I said, the vulgar, explicit. But yes, the idea that was forced upon us because the record labels made the decision
for that,
and then the videos, because we got to make it, seem
it's
like
working.
a big thing.
And now women are like,
so now you got
everything. Everything is a twerk. Everything is, you can't sell a record without you twerking or you
and
have
of course
naked
it's cross lines. So, the cultural conditioning is also there. You know what I'm saying? This is an issue and we need to avoid it. The longer we keep it around, the more it's going to continue. For one, if the artists if they have other content that they want to push, and you're constantly limiting what they can push because you want to dumb down a culture, like, that's deliberate. Like, stop this crap, man. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but with artists that now have a little more freedom, you have a lot of independent record labels, independent artists that are putting their things out there through mainstream media, including YouTube. Do you feel like, why have they not voided this type of
well, there's still a place for it. And so for mainstream in particular, if that's what they're still trying to push, they don't care what's going on the sidelines, because I still have this audience right here. So they're going to still, target that audience. And for everyone else who has the opportunity to and they are also choose other sources and that kind of thing,
and the different platforms that are available to them. SoundCloud. And it's still out there, but SoundCloud is not getting as much popularity as a streaming network as some of the other
Spotify.
You have Apple Music, all of these other different streaming networks, because there is not a large control from a music industry or a large influence from a music industry standpoint. So you're not getting that oversight of the record companies in your business, or, tampering with that or pushing a certain agenda. So do you think that also played, I feel like that also plays a role into their availability of where they can put music that isn't pushing this agenda? It's very limited. So we're talking about this void culture. I think you hit on something earlier that I think is kind of key when it comes to cancel culture. We are too fucking sensitive. Everything is so heightened sensitivity, and it's causing things to get canceled.
It silences us.
It does.
It oppresses our speech. We can't go out like this. And that's the thing I was thinking about when it came to YouTube not long ago, when they wanted to censor, hate speech or hate agendas and stuff like that. Well, the same thing about that is it depends on how they categorize it. Not everything is hate. So I got to lose, Mr. Farrakhan, because we got to lose what's the psycho name who was pushing the Sandy Hook conspiracy.
I don't recall his name, but I definitely understand what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
And that is actually part of my concern with us canceling all these Confederate monuments. I get that there's no monuments to Hitler.
Where we going with this?
And it might be touchy, but here's my thing. When you open the door to things of this nature, you also open the door for people to change points in history. If we're removing things because of their historic references, I feel like there's a loss of
That's why we have
other
books.
side of things. It is a such
First.
thing as books. But do you not know there are people that do not believe that the Holocaust existed because there aren't any references to it?
Okay. Now, and I don't agree with completely like,
And
discarding
that's
them.
my
There's a place for them, and it's
Right.
not like in the middle of my town hall. It's not.
Right.
It's not on my. It's not on where my courthouse is. Like I don't want to see that.
and I was just and I'm
I just
playing
feel like we should be replacing something, and we should be saying like this is why we are replacing it. We're removing this and we're putting this here instead because. But I also feel like put it in a museum. These daughters of Confederates, get you a museum and put your shit in your museum. This is not what I want to see.
And I agree. Feel like there needs to be some type of thought process put into it because of the fact that there is so many agendas when it comes. You can even put it like, okay, we had a cancel culture of the civil rights. Like we had a movement going with the civil rights. We had this culture of we want equality. We canceling all the shits that don't agree with us being equal.
True.
Right?
Yes.
But the civil rights wasn't about equality. It was about equity. I want my tax dollars to go to
Girl.
my fucking neighborhood.
Me too. And I'm still
And-
waiting on it.
And till this day, we still ain't got that shit.
We still don't.
So when it comes
and not
to
only
us
does it not go to your
canceling that,
neighborhood, we're gonna limit you as to
what neighborhood you can actually be in.
or what district your children can
gonna
go to.
But we canceled this whole culture of you at the same water fountain as me. Now we're at a position to where, guess what? It still ain't equal.
It isn't.
That wasn't the point of the. And
And
so
see, and
whenever
so at
I'm
that
talking
time
about
it was blatant.
Yeah.
But now we've had time to give you the impression that it doesn't exist.
right, and
Only
so that's
the
my
people
fear
who are
with this
who
whole
are
cancel.
affected by it, who have been affected by it for so long, are the ones who realize that this is a lie. This
And that's
shit-
why I want
this
us
shit
to be
exists.
like really mindful of the shit that we're canceling, because we can be in a whole hot fucking mess later. That's all I was saying. So back to the sensitivity of the cancel culture. What do you feel like? Do you think this is going to be something that stays around?
cancel culture.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to stick around, or is it going to be the next like hashtag? How long are we going to be on this cancel culture? If I can say the word right.
I think it's gonna stick around. Now, how long it lives is one thing, but I think it's gonna be here. You know, the Bill Cosbys and the
R. Kelly's.
R. Kellys. And
Are y'all still jamming at R. Kelly? He didn't stop trending.
Here's the
Y'all
question: What are we
Still,
doing?
we canceled.
Are we still two-stepping at the family reunions?
We canceled
Are we
Taylor
having
Swift some
family
years
reunions
ago.
right now? We shouldn't even be having family reunions right now. This is
COVID.
2020
yeah.
COVID season.
We already canceled
God
2020
damn,
for
didn't
that.
we already?
Yeah,
Jesus,
girl,
Mary
yeah.
Joseph.
But as I said, we canceled Taylor Swift. We brought her back, right? When
Why
she
did we cancel her?
we canceled her a while back. She said something off the wall.
Girl,
we can't even remember.
So many people say things off the wall. I just think that we
can't
just
even
need to
remember why we
allow
canceled them
people
anymore.
to be themselves. So are we canceling cancel culture?
We're avoiding canceled culture.
We're going to void cancel culture.
Thank you for tuning in to the podcast where we talk.
And you listen.